I love you, Arizona. Your mountains, deserts, and streams, the rise of Dos Cabezas, and the outlaws I see in my dreams. I love you, Arizona. Superstitions and all, the warmth you give at sunrise, your sunsets put music in a soul. Arizona, you're the lifeblood of me.
Hi, I'm Christina Swallow. I'm an Arizonan and a past president of the American Society of Civil Engineers. It is my privilege to introduce you to 100 plus years of civil engineering. Our story today will focus on how many centuries of people in our state have been able to capture and use our limited water resources to support themselves and the communities they created. First, it was critical just to have drinking water. Later, irrigation of crops, and then evolving over many years to mining, manufacturing, and energy generation. We'll also explore the role transportation has played in providing for the growth and connectivity across our beautiful state. From the Roosevelt and Hoover Dams, to the Salt River and Central Arizona projects, to the Sky Harbor Airport, the Tucson streetcar, and the light rail system in Phoenix, our state has been using the resources we have efficiently and constantly adapting to our evolving, changing needs. I hope you'll enjoy learning more about the engineering and innovation that have made our state what it is today, as well as the programs that will ensure that we continue to evolve.
Hi, I'm Larry Hansen, a civil engineer with a recent focus on drinking water. There are and have been many notable civil engineers in Arizona. I'll mention three. George E.P. Smith was a graduate of the University of Vermont. In 1900, he accepted a position at the University of Arizona to teach physics and civil engineering. He became an expert on water irrigation and was a pioneer in the development of ground and surface waters in Arizona. In February 1925, he invited 28 civil engineers to a meeting at the Adams Hotel in Phoenix to discuss organization of an Arizona section of ASCE. A few months later, ASCE Board of Directors in New York City approved that request, and Mr. Smith was elected the first president of the Arizona section. Lewis Clarence Hill. From 1890 to 1903, Mr. Hill taught electrical and hydraulic engineering at the Colorado School of Mines. In 1903, he was appointed by the U.S. Reclamation Service as the designer and supervisory engineer for the construction of the Theodore Roosevelt Dam. He spent 7 years on this project from 1904 to 1911. Subsequently, he worked on other large dam projects, including the Boulder Dam on the Colorado River and the Bonneville Dam on the Columbia River. He served as the National ASCE President in 1937. And finally, James Bell Durand. Mr. Durand attended Texas A&M University in the late 1880s. In approximately 1900, he accepted a position as city engineer for Williams, Arizona. In 1909, he was appointed the first and only territorial engineer for the Arizona Territory. He developed many of the roads in Arizona. Some of his alignments eventually became part of Interstate 8 and 10. In 1940, he was responsible to lay out a route for 190 miles of the Central Arizona project from the Colorado River to Phoenix. When the CAP was eventually constructed decades later, it brought water to the Phoenix and Tucson metro area. He also served as president of the Arizona section in 1929.
Hi, my name's Jacob Richardson. I'm a senior hydrologist for the Salt River Project. This morning we're out here at Theodore Roosevelt Dam. The idea of the dam really started from the late 1800s when people that were trying to settle in the area and use it for agricultural purposes saw the need to control the river in order to deal with the climate variability. Around the turn of the century, when the federal government started to show interest in the dam, that's when it really started to pick up momentum. By 1903, work on the dam site had begun. And in 1906, the first stone was laid. I mention that because the dam was constructed using cyclopean masonry. That method stems from some of the ancient cultures of the Mediterranean, but the reason they use that method is because of the abundance of rock available here in the canyon. The stones for the dam were quarried from the canyon walls in the left and right abutments, and you can still see some of the signs from that today. That original dam stood 280 feet tall, served the valley well for roughly 80 years. In the 1980s, it was identified that modifications to the Roosevelt Dam were necessary. One, it was necessary for additional flood protection. Two, it provided additional water supply to help provide a more resilient supply in conjunction with the Central Arizona project. The third one was also to address some of the seismic deficiencies in the original dam. That modified Roosevelt Dam was completed in 1996, and that's what you see behind me today. In addition to some of the other features that were added, we now have 34 megawatts of hydroelectric generation capacity here at the dam. So all of those things are components and examples of how Roosevelt Dam has provided the ability to make Phoenix what it is today, the 5th largest city in the country, one of the fastest growing areas as well. Without a structure like Roosevelt Dam, it wouldn't be possible. One of the things I love about Roosevelt Dam and studying and learning about it is that I'm learning, and we can learn from their example, how they addressed the challenge back in the early 1900s. The forethought, the determination, the ingenuity that they utilized in order to construct a structure like that in such a remote area. I love that because we get to address big challenges, come up with good creative solutions, and then we get to see the impact of that. You know, driving into the valley and seeing this big civilization, roughly 5 million people that call the valley home, and it's largely due to structures like Roosevelt Dam. We face those same types of challenges moving forward. You know, we look at the future with some uncertainty, and we want to be ready and capable and able to adapt to the challenges that we face, and that's what I love about engineering, is we get to do that.
Good morning. It's great to be here. I'm Mark Woodson, and I'm the former ASCE president and Arizona section president of ASCE. And over time, I moved up here about 40 years ago to Flagstaff, and 30 years ago, I started Woodson Engineering and Surveying, and we've done work across northern Arizona. And most recently, I've become a part of the Ardura company in northern Arizona. We're becoming much more environmentally conscious. We're becoming more conscious of the pedestrians and the bike needs, and trying to get people to use alternate transportation from their cars. So that's been one of the biggest challenges. So as far as water infrastructure, one of the big things in northern Arizona is the Colorado River. And in the 1960s, they built the Glen Canyon Dam. And that dam provides flood control, water resource, and recreation for many in northern Arizona and the 7 states that it serves.
The whole idea of diverting Colorado River water into central Arizona goes back generations. My name is Will Worthington. I'm a civil engineer and worked for 22 years on the Central Arizona project. The CAP Canal begins on the Colorado River over here at Lake Havasu. It runs 336 miles across Arizona, across the north side of Phoenix and down to the south side of Tucson. About 15% of that is underground, either to go under a river or to go through a mountain or as a discharge line to the 14 pumping plants that it takes to get the water from the Colorado River down to Tucson. The whole idea of diverting Colorado River water into central Arizona goes back at least to the 1920s, but it was really stymied for legal reasons because California contended that Arizona did not have the right to divert water directly from the main stem of the Colorado River. The case went to the U.S. Supreme Court in a very lengthy decision in which they appointed a special magistrate to hear all of the testimony. They finally determined that yes, Arizona does have the right to divert water out of the Colorado River, and that really opened the door then for Congress to go ahead and pass the legislation, which was passed, I believe, in 1967, enabling the construction to start on the CAP. Prior to the arrival of CAP water, there were serious overdraft problems in Pinal County and particularly in Tucson. Tucson was the largest city in the world at that time, entirely dependent on groundwater as their source of supply. As part of the CAP, we looked at the problems and the opportunities associated with Roosevelt Dam, which was originally completed in 1911. But it did not have any capacity for flood control on the Salt River, and that was a serious problem. So as part of our project, we determined that we would rebuild Roosevelt by raising it 70 feet. In so doing, we would provide storage for floodwaters and prevent the flooding on the Salt River. So we approached ADOT and said, if you all have the ability to build a bridge upstream of Roosevelt Dam and can complete it by the time we need to start taking the dam apart, we'll put $10 million into the pot. And that's what happened. It serves a very valuable purpose now, not only to store the water as it originally did, but to provide the flood protection through the Salt River Valley in the Phoenix metropolitan area.
Hi, I'm John Hernandez, and I'm the Vice President of Site Services for the Palo Verde Generating Station. So Palo Verde is the only nuclear power plant in the whole world that's not situated next to a major body of water. So we don't have an ocean, a river, or a lake that runs along Palo Verde. And up until this year, it was the largest producer of power in the United States of any kind of energy. So how do we cool the reactors? There's a water treatment plant on 91st Avenue that takes the wastewater from municipalities in the Phoenix area. So think, every time someone flushes a toilet, that water goes to a water treatment plant. They do some level of treatment, and then we send it underground in a pipeline 36 miles out to the station, to our water resources facility. There we get the water, we treat it again and clean it up, and then that's what we use. Our water resources facility produces 60,000 gallons a minute of clean water. We have two reservoirs on site, a 45-acre and an 85-acre reservoir. Between both of them, we store about 1 billion gallons of water. So on the hottest day of summer, that gives us about 13 days of cooling water for all 3 reactors running at 100% power. We got this highly trained staff of nuclear professionals out there that are passionate about the work that they do. Yeah, sure, we've got pumps and valves and motors and nuclear fuel and a lot of concrete and civil structures, and engineering got us there. A lot of craft built the plant, but it's the people that live Palo Verde day in, day out, 24/7, that operate that facility safely, efficiently, reliably, and affordably. Without them, we wouldn't have Palo Verde.
Transportation in northern Arizona is as important here as it is anywhere in the country. We started with the Beale Wagon Road in the 1850s, traversing from New Mexico to California through Flagstaff. That later became the Santa Fe Railway Corridor and in time became Route 66, which was the mother road of America in the 1920s. And most recently, that's turned into Interstate 40, which still transports goods and services and people across the country every day.
My name is Jerry Cannon. I'm a bridge engineer. I did a lot of historic rehab of historic bridges and new bridges in the state of Arizona, but was the responsible bridge engineer for the design of the second Navajo Bridge. This was an important project because the old bridge was very narrow, good for only one lane of traffic, not adequate to carry the big loads that were going to be carried across. So there was a need for something there, and we came up with the idea of having another bridge parallel to it. One was for pedestrians, and the other one was for vehicles. When you go up there nowadays, you can walk across the canyon. Hoover Dam Bridge was an exciting project because it's so big. It's a concrete segmental bridge. You look back and you realize that they were pouring concrete columns that were 200-300 foot tall. And I think it's important in terms of trying to get access to the northern part of Arizona. It's a very beautiful experience to walk out on that dam and look at it and look over the sides and not jump out, you know.
My name is Greg Byers. I'm the State Engineer and Deputy Director for Transportation here at ADOT. I oversee all of the construction and operations of the roadways across the state of Arizona. So in Arizona, we have I-8, we have I-10, we have I-17, I-40, and we actually have a little piece of what's I-15. A lot of people don't realize we actually have an additional interstate. So I-10 is the major route, southern route for commerce that runs from the Pacific headed to the eastern part of the United States. But it ties in to I-19, and I-19 is also a major commerce corridor. We have some huge refrigerated warehouses in Nogales as well as in Tucson that takes and separates that out and allows for that east-west commerce. Originally, the roadways that we had were nothing but trails that basically crossed across the state, both east and west, north and south. Those trails took and went through very small routes across, you know, creeks and up and down canyons and so forth to adjust to the terrain that we have. Through engineering and through the advent of the automobile as well as commerce that started picking up, we had to straighten out the roads. We had to build these roads so that they could basically turn into an interstate system. Instead of taking and adjusting to the existing terrain, we adjusted the terrain to the roadways. Today's roadways are a mix of interstates, urban roadways, rural interchanges, tunnels, bridges. They're constantly growing. They're constantly being updated. We have tons of technology today that was never available 100 years ago, and all because engineers come up with some great ideas, and so consequently we incorporate all that into the system as much as we possibly can.
Hello, I'm Jordan Feld, Deputy Aviation Director for Planning and Environmental here at the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. The airport's first terminal was built in the early 50s. In the 60s, we completed Terminal 2, which of course is famous to many visitors for the Coe's mural, a 70-foot wide artwork that stood in the middle of the terminal and greeted our passengers and became kind of synonymous and iconic with our region and our airport. By the early 70s, we had grown to about 4 million annual passengers, and that necessitated the construction of Terminal 3 in 1976. By the end of the 70s, we were already at 8 million annual passengers, and by 1990, when we completed Terminal 4, we were at 20 million annual passengers. In 2001, we constructed the third runway at Sky Harbor. In 2013, we completed the SkyTrain, which is an automated people mover connecting our transit stations with our terminals. That project is famous worldwide for being the first transit system to bridge over an active taxiway, Taxiway Romeo, with a 100-foot height and 340-foot main span. It's quite the impressive project and still serves Sky Harbor to this day. Since then, we have completed upgrades to Terminal 3. We're currently investing about $400 million in Terminal 4 in upgrades, working on a second concourse at Terminal 3 as well. So we've been quite busy over the years to make sure that the facilities can handle all of that growth.
I'm John Bernal, and I'm here on behalf of Tom McGovern to talk about 3 significant civil engineering projects in southern Arizona. Those projects are the Loop, the modern streetcar, and the Nogales wastewater treatment plant. The Loop is a recreational facility conceived after the installation of soil cement bank protection along the major water courses in our region, along the Santa Cruz River, the Rito River, the Pantano Wash. Those areas were all damaged with the major flooding that took place in our region in the late 70s, early 80s. After those banks were stabilized, the Loop facility was installed on top of them to add a recreational amenity to what had been simply a flood protection and erosion protection facility. The modern streetcar is a facility that provides public transit from the University of Arizona to the downtown area using a sleek and very modern streetcar facility. And the third one, in the Nogales wastewater treatment plant, is a project that was installed to handle untreated wastewater coming from Nogales, Mexico, into our region that has been in place since the 1950s. Today generates treated wastewater that no longer damages the Santa Cruz River to the extent that it did. The civil engineering community as a whole is comprised of individuals that have the best interests of the community at heart, and that's what I believe ASCE promotes.
ASCE is a nonprofit member organization for civil engineers. It is the world's largest publisher of civil engineering content and a leading provider of professional and technical conferences. ASCE also provides opportunity for development of leadership skills. Civil engineers have the responsibility to educate the public and our political decision makers on the status of and need for improvement of our infrastructure. The periodic update and release of the ASCE National Report Card and Arizona Report Card is an ASCE outreach mechanism. The report card presents an overview of the condition of our infrastructure using a grade system of A to F. The report card is basically the health index of our infrastructure.
I'm Chris Lawrence. I'm a faculty member here at ASU and the faculty advisor for our ASU chapter of ASCE. And these are 2 of our key student leaders, Nathaniel Denham and Zana Lee. Zana is the current president of our chapter as well as the project manager for our concrete canoe team.
We do have a canoe day where we head out to a nearby lake and we race against the other schools. It's just a lot of project management skills, construction of the boat itself, and then coming up with key materials and mix designs to create the concrete mixes.
Nathaniel has been a long time project manager, heavily involved in our steel bridge team.
What basically that entails is you design, build, and manufacture a 24-foot long steel bridge for competition, assemble it, bolt it together, and then it's load tested.
My name is Jessica Hillman. I'm studying environmental engineering and physics at Northern Arizona University. I'm the former treasurer, former president, and will be president again next semester.
My name is James Hollingsworth. I currently go to NAU studying civil engineering. I'm a grad student, and I'm the current president of the student chapter.
I'm in ASCE because I heard about this ISWS competition where people make a canoe made out of concrete and then float it and paddle it. And I really wanted to be involved in learning about how interesting civil engineering can be and how it can be implemented in a more fun way.
As I was going into engineering, I thought that this could be a great way to meet some of my other peers and also get more experience with what civil engineering is and what I can look forward to.
Hi, I'm Ruben Rivera. I'm studying civil engineering here at the University of Arizona. The reason I joined ASCE is because in one of my classes we were required to go to a club fair. And at the time I didn't know I fully wanted to be a civil engineer, and I happened to run into someone and they're like, You should try it, you might like it. They explain the competitions like concrete canoe, steel bridge, timber strong, and how you form a team, work together, really build connections, and how it relates like the industry, because when you go on to a job, you end up working with a different set of teams, and you gotta learn how to navigate that.
Hi, I'm Keegan Carolinen. I'm a University of Arizona student studying civil engineering. I was nominated to run for vice president of ASCE here, and I was elected, and now I'm in control of general body meetings, so I make the slides, invite industry professionals, and just try and make the weekly meetings an experience that everyone on campus wants to be a part of. For me, the most fun is just building a community with my fellow students and fellow members of ASCE, as well as the industry networking I've gotten. What you do with your time and your career lasts well beyond your lifetime.
My name's Eli Holman. I'm a student at the U of A, and I'm studying civil engineering. The thing that I love about being a civil engineer is knowing that one day I will design a project, drive by there, and know that I helped make that come true. And it's helping people.
ASCE really provides me that student outlook, but also a peek into what the professional world actually looks like.
It's really just been a lot of really good practical experience.
I'm Mark Lamer, faculty advisor for the Northern Arizona University Student Branch. I've been doing that for 14 years. Makes me feel really good when I see my students go out in the world and succeed and provide benefits to the community.
It makes me so proud of all of these different students, seeing them progress and grow from a freshman to a senior, then they're graduating, and then 10 or 15 years later, I see that they're local industry leaders. It's a really wonderful feeling.
I'm Stephanie Templeton. I am the current ASCE Arizona section president, and I am a structural engineer. I work for Gannett Fleming Trans Systems, and I'm the office principal and the West Structures manager there. Do a lot of work with airports, water, wastewater facilities, maintenance facilities, and love designing structures. Our section and our subsidiaries are really active in reaching out to younger students and those that are pre-college. One of the activities that our section supports right now is with MESA. We go into classes and we'll do activities with them that help them with design, and then actually building with spaghetti and popsicle sticks and gumdrops, making a tower. That's one of their favorites. We also do some work with the Future Cities program. It's a national program with middle school students. And we provide judges at the ASCE to help go through all their models that they make, the reports that they write. They give a presentation here that's based off of a centralized theme for the year, and they'll use recycled materials and create an energy efficient type city. And it's really cool. They get really excited about sharing their ideas and being able to help go through and answer questions, and then also see who gets selected for national. We're continuing this legacy. We've made it to 100 years. We want to continue it for another 100 more, and finding the people that are able to lead and get the new generations excited about being engineers is definitely important.
I love you, Arizona. Your mountains, deserts, and streams. The rise of Dos Cabezas and the outlaws I see in my dreams. I love you, Arizona. Superstitions and all, the warmth you give at sunrise, your sunsets put music in a soul. Arizona, you're the magic in me. Ooh, Arizona, lifeblood of me. I love you, Arizona. Desert dust on the wind, the sage and cactus are blooming, and the smell of the rain on your skin. Ooh, Arizona, you're the magic in me. Ooh, Arizona, you're the lifeblood of me.